Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, quite the video today because we have a bunch of DC news to talk about. So first of all, I know I'm a little bit late with this. The final trailer for Blue Beetle dropped yesterday. I haven't checked it out. I've saved it for my reaction, so we're gonna react right here, see if it slaps, because I kind of said that I think it needs to. I really hope it does, but also, in the back half of this video, after the reaction, we're gonna go over the new Superman Legacy casting updates, because we have got castings for Guy Gardner, freaking Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. Like, it's very interesting stuff. We've got a bunch to read from Vanity Fair, some teasers from James Gunn, so Superman Legacy news, DCU news, it's gonna get interesting in the back half. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about that. There's already a lot being said on the internet about what this means for Superman Legacy. Some people are loving these castings. Some people are concerned what this could mean for the movie with this amount of characters in it. There's just a bunch to discuss. So I hope you guys go on to enjoy this video. If you do, please leave a like. I do want to make it known as well, if you want to skip the Blue Beetle trailer reaction and just go straight into the big DC character castings, fair enough, you can do so. Just hover over the video bar and you'll see the chapters there. But let's get into the final trailer for Blue Beetle.
Okay, I want to fly. Let's do this. Yeah! You gotta force it to come out. What do you...
Very Spider-Man, if in a way.
I know. But what I say? No.
Nice. Nice. The effects look nice.
Did you know what was going to happen to my brother when you stuck him with this world-destroying thing?
It's called the Scarab. I had no idea it would activate. It has to choose you.
So how do we get it to unchoose me?
Host acquired.
Who said that?
Systems tracking 3, 2.
Oh man, is that copyright music? Okay.
Host
Oh.
Overreacting? You kidnapped me!
Post overreacting, man.
Threat approaching. Engaging host protection.
Nice. I'm liking the fluency of this trailer.
Eliminated.
Oh
What do you think
man.
the government is gonna do when they figure out that some kid has this military tech?
Okay.
We are going to change the world with the power of the Scarab.
There it is.
It belongs to me.
Watch out, watch out! Oh, he's pissed.
Okay.
Listen to me!
Carapax.
You got the wrong guy! I'm a nobody! But I swear!
The world is a place to protect.
I have an arsenal at my disposal.
Anything, please!
Watch and learn, Jaime. Whatever you can imagine, I can create.
Yeah, that's more like it. That love you feel for your family makes you weak. You're wrong. My family, that's what makes me strong.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh, I forgot how bad it looks.
Target the family.
Sorry, my mom.
Jaime?
You are a superhero, cabron.
Why haven't you got the
The
helmet
Blue
on?
Beetle. I could use that arsenal right about now.
God, you never ask.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Nana.
I advise we back away.
What the hell, man? Okay. Okay. So, first impressions is that trailer was, again, to preface this, I don't think the first trailer was bad. It's just, it felt like what the criticism is right now is that despite how many people want to see Blue Beetle, like me and you, I'm a fan of it, I will see it, it might, to the general audience, look like too much of a typical generic superhero origin story, right? We've seen it before with many heroes, and of course, there are going to be heroes that we want to learn about, like Blue Beetle, in where you kind of need to learn about them in the first movie. So it's going to be origin to some degree, right? But how do you separate yourself from the repetition of what's come before in other movies? That's what I think some people or fans like myself are concerned about with maybe how it looks to the movie-going audience, right? And where there's a lot of discussion at the minute with regards to superhero fatigue, how that might not be what it actually is, but rather actually repetition in movies. So is Blue Beetle a bit too late with regards to that? I think it's okay, but what it needs to do with regards to the origin approach is still stand out. And what I will say that I'm really happy about with this trailer is that it was really charming. It was really fast and fluid. It did have some like eye-rolling moments for me, just like the tagline, like Jaime Reyes is a superhero, whether he likes it or not. It's like, oh, your family is a weakness. No, my family is a strength. That's the stuff I think people will latch onto, but those are the only real nitpicks I have of what we were just discussing with the kind of generic superhero origin. I'm really, really happy with the rest of that trailer. I don't know what people are on about with visual effects. I think some people are criticizing that. Again, I was saving my reaction to watching it now, but I've seen some people talk on Twitter about that, but I think it looks pretty damn clean, considering this was meant to be released on HBO Max, or Max if you will, but then got a bit of a step up for theatrical release. I think it looks pretty damn cool. Now, everything in the trailer, I mean, some people were arguing it may have given away too much. I feel like I knew what would be happening anyway. I'm hoping there'll be a surprise or two, but clearly Ted Kord's sister, Victoria Kord, wants the Scarab. The Scarab got taken out of the Kord building, given to Jaime Reyes. They want it back because Victoria Kord wanted to like further her technology with the Scarab's ability to do what it does, and that's make pretty much anything, right? But also, as a result, she's going to enlist Carapax to go after Jaime Reyes, and that's kind of what we see in the trailer. So he might turn out to be a little bit, again, with that somewhat description everyone's giving it, you know, generic superhero origin, but generic superhero origin villain to an extent, even though he is very, very comic book accurate looking, and it looks like they're using some of the technology or whatever they've learned from the Scarab so far to give that Carapax the Indestructible Man look. I'm pretty pleased with this. Did it slap? I think it slapped harder than the first trailer, that's for sure. I'm hoping this will get a lot more people interested, especially if this trailer is playing before some movies in the theaters. I'm not saying that this is, I don't think for 1 minute I'm saying that this is going to guarantee the movie's going to do well now. I think that's a whole other conversation, but I do think that this will intrigue a lot more people compared to that of what the first movie trailer did. One thing I was a bit happier with in this trailer as well, which I didn't expect, is the Scarab, Kajida, like the humor. In the first trailer, a lot of people came out of it saying, I don't really know about the kind of AI-esque voice there. It didn't really... I wish there was a bit more personality to it, but in this trailer, I felt like they gave me a bit more there. I'm still not so sure about the vision that Blue Beetle has, you know, when it's scanning all the faces. I don't think it looks that great, but that's a bit more of a nitpick because I do think that the VFX does look pretty clean on like the suit transformations, the powers here, all of that is pretty cool. Now, obviously, it does go quite over the top when you have Jaime's family just, you know, getting a freaking cannon out and everything like that. We all knew this going into it, that it would be really embraced that, like equipping the family with Ted Kord's ship and all of these weapons and whatnot. So I think there might be a few moments where it's kind of funny, but also if maybe I want to get nitpicky, I'd be like, would the granny have really pulled this off, if you know what I mean? But overall, most importantly to me, it does look like a fun time. I do think it's undeniable that it does have somewhat of that kind of generic superhero origin vibe to it. Like even the very beginning, which I really enjoyed, but you still had Jaime like trying to activate the Blue Beetle suit, reminiscent to kind of that typical, Raimi Spider-Man trying to get the web going. But still, that's not to say that it won't be enjoyable. It's just there is credence to what people are saying there, and will that make people interested in seeing this movie? Or will they kind of wait to watch it on streaming or digital or something like that? Because that's the thing, right? Some people may be interested, but they may not be so interested to go buy a movie ticket amongst all of these other movies. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun trailer, but Is it going to do well, especially given recent DC box office? I hope it does do, like, okay. I'm not expecting it to go crazy, but in today's box office with DC comic book movies, I just don't know. And to me, I just feel bad for Blue Beetle if it just gets caught up in this whirlwind of DC disinterest, as I've said recently. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We've also had James Gunn say on Instagram Threads, a user asked him, is he a part of your universe? As a Latino, I'm super stoked to see one on the big screen. And we've spoken about this enough here, but James Gunn once again said, yes, Blue Beetle, played by the wonderful Shola Marduenia, and a handful of other characters will continue on in the DCU. And this is where people get confused. Even though the first DC Studios movie is Superman Legacy, and the first DC Studios project is the animated TV show Creature Commandos. The way you should look at the latter of that, as usual, is that, like, the first commissioned project under DC Studios is technically Creature Commandos. The first official DC Studios, because it's now a studio, movie is Superman Legacy. But Shola Marduenia's Blue Beetle is a canon character in the DCU. Okay, guys, for the second part of this video, we have got some mad news. And it's just crazy because, we knew there would be other characters in this movie. We've speculated about, Mr. Terrific has been teased enough by James Gunn, and we've got that casting, but there's other characters that have been announced to the point of where things are shaping up to be very, very interesting. So James Gunn initially said on Threads, before we get into the article, Superman Legacy opens 2 years from today. It may seem far away to many of you, but it's close to me. We have a lot to do between now and then, but I haven't been more excited about a project in forever. And this cast slowly coming together, holy cow. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Vanity Fair article. Superman Legacy cast adds Isabela, Merced, Eddie Gathegi, and Nathan Fillion. Here's how their new heroes fit in to James Gunn and Peter Safran's reset of the DC Universe. So let's go through this and we'll break it down as we go along. So Superman Legacy, the movie that will mark the live-action rebirth of the DC Universe, has added 3 new actors to its cast, each of them playing a superhero with a long history in the comic books. Isabela Merced will play Hawkgirl, Eddie Gathegi will be Mr. Terrific, and Nathan Fillion will portray Green Lantern, although not necessarily the Green Lantern. And more about that in a minute, because James Gunn has also added a little bit more context on this on his Instagram Threads profile. In an exclusive to Vanity Fair, DC Studios revealed the new additions. Merced, best known for playing the besieged drug cartel daughter in Sicario, Day of the Soldado, and the ever-exploring title character Indora and the Lost City of Gold, will soar into the new universe as the winged warrior Hawkgirl. The hero's favorite battle accessories are melee weapons, swords, and spears, and maces, and Merced's 5'1" size will set her apart from the typical comic book brawler. Gathegi, who played the double-dealing vampire Loren in the Twilight films and the ever-evolving Darwin in X-Men First Class, will take on the role of Mr. Terrific, aka Michael Holt, who is not only a skilled combatant but one of the world's most brilliant inventors and tacticians, orbited by the floating T-sphere weapons he designed. Finally, Fillion, a mainstay of Gunn's movies who starred in the director's first movie, the 2006 horror comedy Slither, and his most recent one, Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, will join him again in Superman Legacy as a Green Lantern named Guy Gardner. Now, they go on to say that while there is also a Green Lantern or Lanterns TV series in the works as part of the rebooted DCU, that one will focus on Hal Jordan and John Stewart. As we know, Fillion previously played a DC character in Gunn's The Suicide Squad known as TDK, or the Detachable Kid, whose powers consisted of the ability to separate his limbs from his body and telekinetically launch them at his enemies. TDK, spoiler alert, didn't survive for very long in that movie, so there's no danger of the actor's dual roles ever crossing paths. Well, the thing is, Gunn has come out since then and said that he was definitely still alive when we last saw him on social media. Now, my best guess at this is that even though The Suicide Squad was directed by James Gunn, it was a DCEU movie, even though Viola Davis's Amanda Waller was in that, she's carrying on in the DCU, just blame it on the fact that it's kind of soft reboot, retcon, as we know what this DCU is. Some characters staying on, some aren't, literally a recasted Superman, recasted Lois Lane, etc., etc. So don't think too much about Nathan Fillion playing TDK, because apparently he is still alive, and yeah, just it's soft reboot DCU from DCEU reasons and excuses there. Now, just before we talk about these castings, it ends off by saying the new leadership of DC Studios has stated that their overall goal is accessibility that allows viewers to go in any of the future movies and shows without the need for deep binge watching research. The good news is, if you've seen nothing that we've done before, you can watch Superman Legacy, you can watch Creature Commandos, you can watch Peacemaker Season 2, and you can watch Blue Beetle. All of that, Safran tells Vanity Fair, we are trying to minimize audience confusion and maximize their enjoyment. Which I've seen a lot of people have a lot to say about this, and to be honest, it probably is true. Like, sure, there are elements carrying over from the previous DCEU, but the thing is, you technically don't need to watch any of those older movies to go into this new universe, because after all, we are entering a new soft reboot with the whole new, as I just said, status quo being truly shown with Superman Legacy. But yeah, technically they're saying that you can start from like Blue Beetle, and then you can watch Creature Commandos, and then eventually Peacemaker Season 2, and of course Superman Legacy being the main stage setting movie. So, as for my thoughts on the castings, believe it or not, I'm actually super thrilled with these. So, for example, Eddie Gathegi, I really like him as Mr. Terrific. Now, obviously, we've all seen X-Men First Class, but for example, For All Mankind, in the previous season, when I was watching that, I thought he was so good in it, and if you've seen it, you kind of know what I mean. So just really enjoying his work before, and knowing that an actor of his talent is stepping into the role of Mr. Terrific is just fantastic to me. Now, as for Nathan Fillion, I've enjoyed him in so many things. I think to a lot of people, Nathan Fillion is a no-brainer. It's more just fascinating, the character casting here, and we'll get into that in just a second with what this could mean for the universe for Superman Legacy, but also the lanterns and what's going on with that, and even the ordering of the lanterns that may be kind of changed up in a somewhat innovative way for this new universe. And then as for Isabela Merced, I actually haven't seen her in anything, so even though I said I was really happy about these castings, mainly the first two of which I just went over, I can't really genuinely comment so much on Isabela Merced. You'll have to let me know what you think of her in Dora. I mean, I haven't seen that. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, I haven't seen that either. I've heard good things, and people are really happy with this Hawkgirl casting. But at the same time, I can't pretend to be like, oh yeah, she's really good, because I have no idea. I'm gonna have to do my research after this video and then get a feel for like her acting ability and her performance. But in terms of actual looks, yeah, I guess she can play Hawkgirl, but the thing is it going to be Shiara? Like, what kind of version of Hawkgirl here? And this speaks to the larger thing with, obviously, Guy Gardner. Now, a lot of people are wondering what could be going on there, considering that we're getting Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in the Lantern show. So Nathan Fillion is 52 years old, and this is starting to make everyone think, okay, is Guy Gardner going to be kind of like the older Lantern, and Hal and Jon Stewart likely being the younger Lanterns in the Lantern series, maybe liaising with Guy Gardner? Maybe he's a lot more of the grumpier, sterner Lantern who has maybe been in the game for a while. I don't know. This is the weird thing that a lot of people are wondering, because when you compare it to the source material, things seem to be a little bit different here when it comes to the DCU, which I'm not against. As I always say, you don't have to copy and paste, just don't deviate so far away in terms of the actual characters. You can innovate though, and this could be like a really new, interesting dynamic between Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, and Jon Stewart, and really kind of starts to make you think a little bit more about the Lantern show and how much this can open things up. And we've had James Gunn being asked a few things, so excited, James. Can we expect the bowl cut on Nathan? And he says, well, giving my old pal Nate a bowl cut might have been my primary reason for casting him. So yeah, we're gonna have to see if that actually is the case, or if he's just kind of jokingly saying that. We have another person ask here, what happened to Finn Wittrock as Gardner? Is the Lantern show separate, or did he get recast? Now, James Gunn really only answers one thing here. The Green Lantern show is not separate, and what he means by that is the Lantern show is quite literally in the DCU. And he goes on to say that Nathan Fillion will play Guy in all parts of the DCU because, again, we can't forget that the DCU movies are connected to the future DCU Max show. So yeah, Guy Gardner will be Guy Gardner in Superman Legacy, in the Lantern show, vice versa, whatever projects they appear in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. That's if, I don't know, Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner doesn't die at some point. We're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, the whole Finn Wittrock comment here, that's from the previous iteration of the Green Lantern show that was being worked on for HBO Max. That kind of got all scrapped, unfortunately, for the plans of the new DCU. Now we have Lanterns. But to be fair, we've still yet to see who is going to be cast as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, not to mention how long have they both been Lanterns for, especially in comparison to Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. Now, the next comment on Threads that James Gunn talks about is really intriguing because as a result of this casting news, it's got a lot of people saying, well, is this even a Superman movie? So we have this user here saying, I'm very excited that we're jumping right into an established DC world. I just hope that the focus remains on Lois and Clark, that the film remains a true Superman story that explores his character. Give us an amazing Superman story, James, the one we fans have always dreamed of. I trust you and believe you'll do just that. Couldn't be more excited for Legacy. And James Gunn responds, the primary story most definitely revolves around Superman and Lois. And I agree with like one of the first lines here. It's what I've been saying over and over again. So like these extra castings, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, maybe whoever else appears in the movie alongside Superman, Lois, Jimmy Olsen, etc., is that we are entering a universe in where we're not kind of going back to like movie 1, origin story, movie 2, origin story, movie 3, origin story. We're kind of like hitting the ground running, if you know what I mean. Even though we're getting some major characters recast like Superman, yet keeping some characters on like John Cena as Peacemaker, we're still hitting the ground running in this universe. So in this Superman Legacy movie, I do understand the concern here because when you zoom out and look at the optics, it's like, oh, you know, is there not too much being stuffed in here? I think James Gunn is just trying to maybe establish, as I said, the new status quo and kind of set up a lot of exposition, despite apparently how much the story will be about Superman and Lois. There's just a lot of other world building that he wants to achieve in this first movie, which I do think it's fair for some people to say like, oh, but what if this really distracts from a Superman movie? I have faith, as what James Gunn says here, the primary story of the movie most definitely revolves around Superman and Lois. It's just that maybe with whatever threat is out there, as we've speculated about before on this channel, maybe just because Superman isn't like a veteran Superman, but not necessarily an origin Superman, as Gunn says, it may still mean that he's met other superheroes. There might not be a Justice League, but maybe David Corenswet Superman is familiar with one of the Lanterns, and that could be Guy Gardner. Maybe he knows Mr. Terrific. Maybe he's come across him when fighting crime or saving people. There could be that low-key relationship. As James Gunn says, I've said this for the 1000th time, but it's very relevant to what we're discussing now. This is a DC universe that has had heroes before Superman and has heroes presently and into the future. So we are jumping in to Superman Legacy with all this world building happening. So that's why I guess you've got Hawkgirl here. This is why you've got Guy Gardner. This is why you've got Mr. Terrific. It's just going to be interesting to see if Superman actually has some kind of relationship with these other heroes. We have super excited for this. Love the castings. And again, more concern here. However, I've got to ask, what compelled you to put these characters into a Superman story? They fit the story I'm telling. Story always comes first. So evidently, in this Superman movie, it just works in the story. And I'd like to think it's exactly maybe what I just said. This is a living, breathing, new DC universe. There are other heroes in it. So this is a very interesting premise, and I just think that it all is coming down to world building. But again, I do think there is relevant concerns. I'm choosing to be optimistic about it, and I think there will be kind of sprinkled nicely into the story and relevantly, as James Gunn said, it fits the story he's telling, even though this is a Superman movie. But for now, guys, I think that's everything I've got to say. I'm super interested, though, in maybe doing a follow-up video to this, maybe another installment of the DCU discussion series in where you guys send your questions in and we can speculate a lot more about the relationship between the Lanterns, considering we're getting the Lantern show with Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, yet we've got an older Guy Gardner here, what that could mean, how all of this connects together. Mr. Terrific is out there, all of this stuff. So let me know maybe if you have a question down in the comments below. I might select some of them and we can talk about it in a bonus video, just diving a little bit deeper as we do. Of course, let me know your thoughts on the castings of Hawkgirl, obviously Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the Blue Beetle trailer. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, especially if you got this far. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DCU in the next video. Goodbye.